Okay, we're live.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Intimate Partner Betrayal Awareness Day. I am Andrea Rogers, founder of this day, but we all know that nobody does anything alone. And so today I'm joined by one of my colleagues and also a fellow survivor of intimate partner betrayal. Gina. Gina,
Hi,
you want to
everyone.
introduce yourself?
Yes, and thank you, Andrea, for founding this Awareness Day. It's very important. And I know we were talking about how this is coming on the heels of multimedia attention to the Jumbotron and blatant betrayal. And yeah, it's just very timely that we acknowledge those of us that have had those discoveries, and it can vary. And we'll talk more about that of what is intimate partner betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I live and work in Austin, Texas, and I I take advantage of the best that Austin has to offer. I enjoy a lot of things here, keep good friends, family, and then professionally, I work at Begin Again Institute,
Mm-hmm.
and this is something I joined their team last year, and this is the first time where my lived experience with like the big pain in my life, has aligned with
Yeah.
my professional work. And so Begin Again Institute runs intensives, and we help men who are struggling to overcome sexual addictions, intimacy disorders, and then we also have intensives that help partners who have experienced betrayal trauma.
Yeah.
Yep.
So tell me what makes this day important to you? Why are you taking time to be here with me?
Yes, great question. I mean, I was just listening to Brene Brown this morning, who's one of those mentors in my life that I've never met, but she's meant a lot to me. Her book Daring Greatly was the backdrop of a support group when I was healing
Mm-hmm.
betrayal trauma. And she was saying, if we don't own our stories, it owns us.
That's
And
right.
she's a researcher on shame.
Mm-hmm.
And shame is such a debilitating, powerful thing that is a human experience, but it is something that we can combat. And as partners, we have carried shame, even if we haven't maybe done some outrageous behaviors ourselves. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's just it touches on a very private core part of our life. It's hard when people don't understand what we're going through or all
Mm-hmm.
that's involved. And I just want to help give voice to this. Like, I'm glad that you're including those of us that are in this work. I wouldn't be doing the work I am today if it wasn't for the number of people that are being affected by this. Like, if it was just me, I wouldn't be working professionally. It's
Right.
because of the need compels me, person after person, story after story. I mean, this is another pandemic in the world. People
Yes.
are hurting, and oftentimes, especially when things break publicly or in the news, it's not the partner that gets the attention. And the partner is left in the debris, oftentimes managing a family in the home and the aftermath and in deep devastation. And we need people to say, I get it. And there's others coming along that it's going to be their day one. And for
Yes.
me, I'm in year 13 from my D Day.
Hmm. Does it feel like it's been that long?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a long journey. Yeah, it was pretty much the decade of my 40s. Was just all about kind of recovering from the thing and unpacking everything that had happened for the first 40 years of my life,
Mm-hmm.
because recovery involves kind of digging and healing everything. I mean, it's the opportunity to heal is really an opportunity to journey into like becoming our best self of all the things that have shaped our life and all the pains. When we we learn to give attention to everything that led up to that point, and then
Mhm.
what we do from that point moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the way you said that because I do think betrayal or any traumatic event for that matter is an invitation to discover the truth about yourself, to recover parts of you that maybe you lost along the way. And it really is a journey towards wholeness. And
Mm,
so I was just talking about this earlier with some colleagues that although something awful is happening to you, there is something good for you in it.
mm. Well said. That is true. I would say very much. I've lived that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah, my D-Day was 2014. So I'm 11 years out on my journey.
Mhm,
And some days it's like, wow, that seems so distant. And then something can happen that I feel like it was yesterday. Like I can tell you how I felt, how my body felt, the way I was numb, for days and weeks on end. And it's a core memory that has reshaped so much of me and my life and how I engage with people.
for sure. Yeah, it changes us, and that's why for those that don't know this language of D-Day, it's that moment that life changed.
Mhm.
And there's life before and there's life after, and that's why, we remember or oftentimes know our anniversaries, and our body even starts to know that we're coming up
Mhm.
on that anniversary
Mhm.
because we've lived through it. And I know for me, part of, the invitation to heal and why it was so important to finally find betrayal trauma specialists is that it gave me the language to attach to my experience. I didn't have language like betrayal trauma or
Right.
D-Day or devastation or healing journey or like any of these it's unbelievable the things, and that there's therapists and coaches that are now getting certifications and training by entities that have created specializations, to
Mhm.
help in this area. And this, we were talking the other day about not all help is equal. Like, just
That's
because
right.
you go to a helping professional doesn't mean you're getting the right kind of help.
That's right.
And I didn't even know that this was a specialization, that you can find betrayal trauma specialist.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I didn't.
Yeah, well, you've become one, Andrea. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Oh, I was just, yeah, tell us about, like, becoming APSATS trained.
Mhm. Yeah. What like what did you think at Discovery, cuz you're naming you didn't know all these terms, you didn't know what they meant. I was the same way. Like, what was your initial thought? I mean, did you walk up on your ex-husband doing something, or was it disclosed to you? You don't have to go into all the details of the D-Day, but I'm just curious, like initially, how were you processing it?
Right. Yeah, for me, it was like a long, slow drip type thing, like over many, many years. There wasn't one necessarily like big discovery event.
Mhm. Mhm.
I will tell you about the D-Day in a moment and why that became my D-Day. But um, actually, my husband and I met at church, and I was brought up a church girl, born and raised. So meeting, someone that worked on a church staff and then falling in love with him, and his dad was the senior pastor, and it checked all the boxes. It was great. And we did all the things, that good church people would do. And we didn't sleep together or live together till we were married. So there was this whole kind of like part of our lives that was waiting for us to discover. in
Mhm.
marriage. But, there was a moment I remember before we got married that, my fiancé at the time was, felt the need to tell me I mean, he was agonizing over letting me know that he had looked at porn.
Mm.
And, what I didn't realize at the time was, like, he was agonizing over this for a reason, because it wasn't just what I kinda took it as, yeah, that's something in our world, it's something that sometimes we wish we weren't indulging in, or, not feeling like the sexuality maybe is going in directions we didn't want it to, but I had grace for that. But what I didn't realize is that, I mean, this gripped his life as a
Mm.
preteen, and it had been
Mhm.
with him for 10 years of a compulsive behavior. And oftentimes there can be the thought that, like, marriage, maybe getting married and having all the sex you want, right, will fix something
Right.
like
Right.
that.
The myth.
The myth, yeah, and, I didn't know I was going into a marriage with him being in the grips of this, stronghold, but I was, and marriage didn't fix it, and before I knew it, in the first months of marriage, I'm waking up at the middle of the night, and he's not in bed, and he's locked up in his office,
Mhm.
and it was kind of like this slow discovery, and him also disclosing to me, like, yeah, this is what's going on. And it's weird, there's something about trauma where our memories can become foggy, and I
Right.
have that, like, I think back and I'm like, I remember certain things,
Mhm.
I don't remember the details, but deep down, I mean, betrayal trauma strikes a q you know such I mean, the injuries are so profound to all these
Right.
major parts of our heart, soul, mind, body. And, all I know like, over the course of the first year of marriage, I knew something was terribly wrong.
The
Yeah.
first year?
Yeah, and I was
Wow.
married 16 years. So, um, yeah, and unfortunately, at times, like, I'm like, it was just porn, which is a whole thing, right? Of, like, in this world of betrayal and with internet porn. And I mean, we married in '98. The
Mhm.
iPhone didn't even come out to 2007.
Mhm.
Of course, he was one of the first to get one. But, you just it has this world of the internet and the kind of content that's out there and the consumption that can happen, and you
Mhm.
better believe that's betrayal. I mean, the when you're consuming that kind of content, whether it's crossing the flesh barrier or not, when it's going against each other's values, commitments, and, anything that when there's a level of deception and hiding,
Mhm.
that's a problem. You don't hide something that you're not embarrassed about. Some people are like, "Well, I'm okay with some porn." Well, if you're talking about it and you're out in the open, you're discussing it, that's very different than having
That's right.
a secret life that your
That's right.
partner's discovering. Yeah. So it was a series of discoveries over time and moments of, like, him, knowing he needed some help and going for help, or me running down help. I mean,
Mhm.
I had a lot of desperation, I think, in that, and he was professionally, vocationally in ministry. I mean, his work inside of churches didn't stop. We went, got him through seminary. He became a pastor, and that's another layer of where do you go for help when you're the helping professional?
That's right.
Yeah. But as my trust with him started being eroded more and more, and the realizations that despite going for help and investing either in believing that the help he was seeking, or the tons of marriage therapy we did, which now I know this wasn't a marriage problem. Like,
Mhm.
marriage therapy wasn't the answer, because it was
Right.
he brought into our marriage that he had deep roots of trauma and things that needed attention. But despite all of that, I would trust that it was making a difference, only to realize it was rearing its head again. And we were in leadership, and I thought we had this beautiful life, and we had 4 children. And there was a point when my fourth baby was born and he was 6 weeks old, and I discovered, that, and he told me, he was in the grips of acting out again.
Mm.
And the fact that I don't even know exactly what that is today is
Mhm.
problematic
Mhm.
because he wasn't ever fully open about that. It was just that it's this world of secrecy and deception. But I broke silence with the elders at our church with him present. Like, I let him know I had had it. Um, and at that point, they wanted to get involved and they wanted to help. Um, my D Day happened a year and a half after that, when he stopped apprehending God and became an atheist.
Wow.
And you better believe that when that day of his resignation, when I'm sitting in the front pew and I'm listening to the elders that had supposedly come alongside of him and known all the parts of our story stand next to him and tell the people in our congregation that there had been no moral failing,
Mm.
that was my D Day. Because something in me broke, because it was just the devastation of multiple layers of betrayal, not just from my husband, but from other helping professionals and family members, that I realized nobody else is connecting the dots. Nobody
Right.
else is seeing this for what it is and the erosion it has in somebody's life. Um, and and from that point on, I started hitting my rock bottom. I eventually got to S-Anon and to a CSAT therapist, and a year or 2 later went to my first professionals conference because I needed to hear and be with people that understood this, and that's been my
Mhm.
path ever since, is like, it's amazing, it's been amazing to find this whole field of academics and therapists and clinicians that don't minimize it. They know exactly why this was devastating, disrupting, why the bottom fell out from my life, why I needed safety, why I needed support, why I needed boundaries. And I started on that journey and I dialed down the voices of all the people that were ignorant and trying to shame me and blame me. And I started to listen to those that understand.
Mhm.
Maybe what we're trying to do today, right? Is like just
Right.
be voices in the world of like, we understand. Yeah.
I am having some sort of malfunction with my computer and I'm trying to get it fixed.
Okay.
Um so just one of the things I wanted to do while I'm trying to get this fixed is for you to share a little bit about what you're doing since you brought that up, right? What is Begin Again Institute? What do they offer and why are you there?
Yes. Great question. So, Begin Again Institute is located in Colorado, just north of Denver. And back in 2008, they began and opened their doors. And there's been evolutions of them creating a place of healing. But in 2020, a team came together and really made Begin Again Institute what it is today. And I've been privileged to get to know members of that leadership team and to discover this amazing work. And so, what it's become today is a place where individuals come, they sign up for an intensive, and we have primarily served men, and
Mhm.
we have 14-day intensives for men. We also have a specifically Christian 14-day men's intensive, and they fly out up to 10 men at a time. So it's a closed group, which creates safety for them. And they come to
Mhm.
a farmhouse and then they go to the clinical offices. They start every morning with a hike to get into their body and their breath. And they start letting themselves feel and deal, I guess is a way to say it, in a simplistic way, with everything that's below that surface of the iceberg. because
Mhm.
that's what we know is when the tip of the iceberg is the problems, the issues, whatever's erupted, but the boulder is what oftentimes doesn't get addressed or understood.
Right.
And once you're guided by a clinical team and support and individual sessions and group sessions and community and connection, you can start to unpack your story and understand why. What is going on? Why is this happening? And that reduces shame because when you start to see why that coping mechanism began and how it actually served a purpose,
Mhm.
at once upon a time and why it's not needed anymore, you can start to carve out a path for resolving it. And being connected to this small group of people gives you that experience too to interact and practice things like empathy and
Mhm.
sharing vulnerably. And then you can, that support remains even after an intensive. The reason I'm a huge believer in intensives, I've experienced a few of them in my healing journey, is you can accomplish what sometimes can take years of therapy. When you only get a 50 or 60-minute therapy session once a week,
Right.
and you start to talk about things, but then time's up, you get back in your car, put on that seatbelt, drive away. You can't really sit with what is happening and unpack it. But when you go away to an intensive and you have 2 weeks to live and breathe it and grieve it, and you can accomplish so much healing and get breakthroughs. Um, so yeah, at Begin Again Institute, like, we run 28 men's intensives now.
28?
28 in 2025. Yep.
Wow.
28 2-week intensives this year. And then what happens is a lot of these men have partners. So the devastation and the betrayal trauma has begun for the partner,
Right.
and the partners have they get support, which is amazing for while their man is away, which not all programs give support to the partner like that. Like, we have 6 different check-ins for them that they can opt into. That's
Mhm.
incredible. But when their man comes home, a lot of times they're seeing the results. And what happened is women were saying, well, where's the Begin Again intensive for me?
Right.
And that's how the 3rd intensive was founded, with a partner intensive, and we've created that to be 6 days, and same thing, they come to the same home, the same, clinical office, but betrayal trauma specialist and our clinical oversight is there, and, yeah, it's just a beautiful opportunity to accelerate healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is storming here. I don't know if you can
Oh, is
hear
that
it.
what it is? I do hear it. It's some rustling noise.
Yes, that is the rain hitting my window because it is
Wow.
storming. I don't know if it's hail or what, but oh my gosh, it just came out of nowhere.
Oh my god. Well, I do understand Texas storms because 'cause you're in Houston, I'm in Austin, and
Right.
yeah.
Right. Right. They say you don't like the weather, just give it 5 minutes, you know. We can have all 4 seasons in one day. Yeah, you brought up so many important things that I want to kind of touch on now that I've resolved this. It
Oh,
was
great.
telling me it was going to shut my computer down. So
Probably because of the storm.
had to fix that. But first, I want to define intimate partner betrayal for people because you brought up, for you it wasn't a physical affair, and that's what a lot of people think about when they think about betrayal. But betrayal comes in many ways, shapes, and forms. So, intimate partner betrayal, as we're defining it for this day, is
Mhm.
a breach of trust in a committed relationship that violates the safety of that relationship, right? So that could be sexual infidelity, that could be emotional infidelity, that could be intellectual infidelity. And somebody might say, what's intellectual infidelity? It's where I'm sharing my dreams and having, very intellectually stimulating conversations with someone other than my spouse. It could
Mm,
be financial infidelity, technological infidelity, like what you're talking about. I'm living in a world that is virtual,
Mhm.
to the expense of my real world. There's
Yep.
spiritual infidelity, social infidelity, emotional infidelity, all these types of betrayal that happen that we don't talk about enough. So the rest of the definition, in addition to it being a breach of trust in a committed relationship that violates the safety of the relationship, is, we are naming it as a form of relational abuse, where one partner repeatedly violates the trust, the emotional safety, and this is what's really important, the mutual agreements that you have in a committed relationship. So if your ex husband would have said to you, "Hey, Gina, while we're married, I'm going to go in the bathroom all the time and engage with this stuff online and lie to you and hide things from you, is that okay?"
Right. I might chances are I wouldn't have agreed to that, and we would not have had a mutual agreement.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So, that's the violating the mutual agreements is through deception, through secrecy, and disloyalty. So, one of the big things that I don't think we talk about enough is consent.
Mhm.
And in relationships where there's intimate partner betrayal, that's the thing that's taken away, is the consent, right? I don't have a say so in this relationship to be a part of what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's where the stories vary a lot, even that there's a shared experience at the core,
Hmm.
which is why we connect as partners that have experienced betrayal trauma. But at the core, or I was going to say that the stories vary. Sometimes it is this like blatant breach of, like the jumbotron, where it's just like, oh my gosh. But then sometimes it's like in my version of the story, it was, "Wait a minute, this I didn't agree to this. This is a problem. You're clearly in shame, hiding." But that repeatedly violates in the
Hmm.
when it's repeatedly violating, that erosion of trust over time, and when you come together and you're like, "Okay, let's regroup.
Hmm.
This needs to be addressed." And then when you trust and then you're trusting that person to deal with something that is clearly not working, and then they don't again and again, and there's this term, again, more language, staggered disclosure,
Right.
and staggered disclosure is also part of, like, an experience for some partners, and that is part of what is just brutal when you're like, how many times can you give someone your trust and have it stomped on or, um, broken? And trust is, I think that's where when you give someone your trust, it's such a gift, and it's
Right.
such a foundational cornerstone of a relationship, and it's this beautiful thing, but when trust starts to get eroded, it has devastating effects on relationships, but it's not ir what's the word? I don't know, like,
Irreparable.
yeah, irreparable, there we go. Yeah, it's not irreparable, which is you and I in the professional world, we see that repair happen when somebody comes fully clean and fully takes ownership and wants to repair trust and the partner agrees to it, they end up with incredible relationships.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, for sure.
I
For
just didn't
sure.
have a husband that chose recovery, like, he was resisting it, and so it wasn't a possibility.
Yeah, and I think, as the day goes on, I'm going to be talking about all of these nuances, because in my case, the sexual acting out stopped. But as we talk about things like dishonesty and emotional deception, the ability to show up well, which is why I'm saying it's relational abuse, because one facet of that acting out can stop, while these other things are still happening. And that's what was true in my story. It was still a lot of emotional abuse, a lack of care, a lack of consent, still a lot of gaslighting and deflection. And those things are just as harmful as the sexual acting out. In fact, we
Yes.
know the research shows that for most partners, it's actually the lying that creates the most damage. The constant lying and the lack of accountability. Do you know who Bob Hamp is?
I know that name.
Yeah, he's a therapist. I think he's in the Dallas area. He works in this space, so he works a lot with Natalie Hoffman,
Yes.
and that community. But he defines abuse as a misassignment of responsibility, that
Ah,
this person that is causing the harm is not taking responsibility for that. Oh my God, my lights just blinked. I'm praying we don't get cut off. But they don't take responsibility for the harm that they're doing to the relationship and the other person. And in fact, not only are they not taking responsibility for it, they want the other person to take responsibility for it. And so misassigning that responsibility is what he calls abuse. So if we look at it in terms of that, right, when you've got a person who's still deflecting, who's denying, who's minimizing, who's gaslighting their partner, those things are abusive.
it's so true, Andrea, and I'm like as you're talking, I'm like, I've experienced this sadly in all kinds of relationships. And
Right.
it affects the ability for me now to be in certain relationships. It's
Yeah.
just and once you see things, you can't unsee it. I mean, this is part of the journey. This is why that entrance into healing betrayal trauma ends up being such a gift sometimes because it's given me tools and understanding that shape the rest of my life and the rest of my relationships. And I'm more who I'm meant to be, like more my authentic self. I'm more strong and grounded today than I ever was
Mhm.
in life. I know who I am, but there's also been a falling away. I mean,
Oh,
there's
man.
loss and yeah, and like I said, my story went down in church. I mean, I have a lot of church hurt and a lot of betrayal that's happened from people, well-meaning
Mhm.
Christians, and people that think that they know best and assign responsibility to me. But I'm just like, no, I've actually been doing a ton of work to figure out some things. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. See, you just brought up another memory. Like you said, so much stuff happens that you're
Mhm.
kind of in a fog. I do want to say welcome to people who are joining. Please feel free to ask questions. We are just bringing awareness to this day. Today is the first ever Intimate Partner Betrayal Awareness Day. This is a moment, but what we're doing is not a moment, it's a movement. So today's the day we put the stake in the ground, but the real work begins after today. So be sure to go to at Intimate Partner Betrayal. It's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok. You can follow me or Gina to get information. We're going to have giveaways, raffles. There will be ways to donate. We are building this plane as we fly it. So please be patient. I'm a one woman show trying to, do 10 other jobs. But this was so important to me as a recovering perfectionist that I didn't want to have everything perfect. I know enough about intimate partner betrayal to stay on live all day and talk about it, to bring awareness to it. And the number of people who are messaging me saying, thank you for bringing this to light. Thank you for honoring us. Thank you for talking about this. I have on orange today because the colors of the campaign are orange, blue, and yellow. So if you want to be a part, go. The most immediate way you can do that is go to our webpage, which is at IPB Awareness. That is I for intimate, P for partner, and B for betrayal. IPBawareness.org. Sign up for the newsletter. There's a link to donate on there at the top. The links in the page still are giving me a headache. So, again, I ask for your patience, but we have so many partners who have donated things for today that you have a chance to win. If you donate or you follow our page, you get entered into this. If you have questions or comments, you want to be a part of the conversation, please do that. Um, but coming back to what you were talking about, Gina, of the number of people, even outside of the immediate betrayal, that try to put that responsibility on you. You know, my first discovery was 2 years into my marriage. I discovered a series of emails with the person I was married to and a woman. And I was spinning. I was like, what is going on? I couldn't even fathom this. And once I realized, like, oh, this is an affair, this is, I thought, an emotional affair. When we went to our first counseling session, at the time I was in graduate school. So I started graduate school. We agreed on this. So I didn't do this without consent, right?
Mhm.
We agreed that I would do this the day after we got back from our honeymoon. I started graduate school. I was
Oh,
also working full time. And so his story at the time was that I wasn't available enough, that I was too busy. And that's why he went outside of the marriage. So the first time we go to counseling, they say to me, hey, you need to be more available. He
oh,
travels. If you can travel with him, you need to do that. Um, you guys need to find ways to go on more dates, have more sex. So who's responsible in that scenario?
it was
What's the subtle message in that to me as a partner?
it was put on you. Well, and yeah, that you had full ability to change the situation.
That's right.
Mhm. Never
That's right.
mind what's going on for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Huh.
So I know I've only got a few more minutes with you. I think you have to hop off at 11 and we have somebody else hopping on. But I did want to talk about what Begin Again does for betrayed partners. And you guys are offering something for today to a lucky person who wins the drawing or the raffle or joins our email list. What is it that Begin Again is offering today?
Yes, we are offering $1,000 off a partner intensive, and that is something through your platform we can make sure happens. And the
Mhm.
wonderful thing is we have 3 partner intensives coming up very soon. We have one that starts August 17th, one that starts September 7th, and one that starts September 28th. As I mentioned, they're all 6 days, 5 nights, and you fly into Denver. And from that point on, we curate the whole experience. And up to 10 people will be in the group, which being in a group, it is one of the most healing things. I have been in multiple support groups, facilitated groups by therapists. Some of the bonds and just the support can continue for years and indefinitely when you invest in that. It is an investment. I mean, that's the thing, and it's giving yourself permission. I know
Mhm.
once upon a time, I was telling, like, after I went to my first S-Anon meeting, and I was telling someone I can't afford to go to therapy because all of our therapy and resources have gone for him.
Mhm.
And she handed me the card of her therapist, who was a CSAT in Los Angeles, and she said, "You can't afford not to." And it was so profound like, she gave me permission, and I took that, and I put those sessions on a credit card. It was like, I need help. I need the right kind of help. And sure enough, I mean, that was a turning point. It was the right thing to do. And that's what I like to pass on to other partners now is like, please hear me say, I'm giving you permission. Please give yourself permission to get to the right kind of help. And if you can accelerate that with an intensive,
Mhm.
you can get safety and stabilization. We will help you process and mourn. We will also help you develop a path forward, and you'll get to do certain therapeutic modalities, things that are proven to help with the processing of trauma. And oftentimes just hearing in a group setting other people say things can be helpful to that language of like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I've been saying or feeling. I just didn't have the words for it.
Mhm.
Or being a
Mhm.
witness to each other's story. I mean, we hold space. There's something really amazing about holding space for other people and being in these sacred places where you are held and you're safe. And
Yes.
right? Like, isn't that's kind of a commonality
Yes.
I think in
That's why
all the
the logo for the Intimate
Oh,
Partner
yes.
Betrayal Alliance is the hands
Oh,
around the heart that's shattered and on fire,
yeah.
right?
You
Yes.
can't do this alone. I mean, you really can't. We suffer alone. We
Yes.
heal when we get to the right kind of help and when we're
Yes.
surrounded by safety and guidance by I mean, you need specialized help. Going to, just a pastor or a general therapist or whatever that hasn't been trained in this, is not the same, and you're not gonna get the same kind of help.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
Begin Again Institute has a team that this is what we specialize in. And not only can we help the partners, but we also understand the other side. And I also want to say, I mean, right now, like at Begin Again Institute, it's gender specific, but that doesn't mean that this is always a gender specific issue. I think that's an
Right.
important message. And that's what I
Right.
appreciate about this Awareness Day. Betrayal trauma can hit for men and women, and it,
That's
it
right.
hits both sides. And the sexual addictions can hit men and women. Yeah,
Yes.
and there are specialists out there that are helping in all different ways.
Yeah, thank you for naming that because somebody on Instagram commented that he left the abuse and now she won't let him see their kid. And I think, just like we talked
Yes.
about, so much has changed in this field in the last 10, 12 years. But one of the places we're still catching up is male betrayed partners. And this Intimate Partner Betrayal Awareness Day is for everyone.
Yes.
It's for everyone who's experienced any type of intimate partner betrayal. The alliance that I'm starting is for women, and there's really specific reasons around that. If you understand domestic abuse and domestic violence, part of creating safety and safe spaces is for some women, all men are a danger. And we know that's not true, but to create a really safe space, um, and for women, uh, we are disproportionately impacted by this. And then we have many women who have given up their jobs to stay home to raise their kids, and they don't have access to resources.
Yes.
So, to male betrayed partners, I want to say that we honor you today as well. We know that your journey is extra hard because finding safe men who won't just say, "Oh, you're being a wuss or a punk or you need to do this or that," can be really hard. And the support for you guys is still catching up to that. But your story matters too. So all intimate betrayed partners are being honored today. So, Gina, how do people get in touch with you if they decide, hey, I really like this Begin Again? I might want to be a part of that. How do they get more information?
Right. My email is a great way to get a hold of me, and that's Gina, Gina .kaye, which is my last name, at bai.care.
I'm putting it in the comments.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So if you missed it, Gina's with Begin Again Institute. They do intensives for male betraying partners and intensives for female betrayed partners. And today they're offering $1,000 off of their intensive in Colorado for female betrayed partners. So if you want to have a chance to be a part of that $1,000 off reward, please go to our webpage, ipbawareness.org, and join our mailing list. If you want to donate today, we're taking $4, $8 in honor of 8/4. Today is the first Intimate Partner Betrayal Awareness Day. You can do $4, you can do $8, you can do $12, which combines 8 and 4, or you can do $40, $80. We will take a dollar. Every amount helps us
Yeah.
to raise awareness, to keep the web page going, to be able to put newsletters and do so much more. But this $1,000 off of your retreat is an amazing opportunity for someone. And I agree with you. You know, I tell this story often that they recommended inpatient treatment for the person I was married to, and it was going to be like $20,000. And insurance was going to cover part of it, but then it was going to take all of our savings. And when I looked at the web page for 30 days, he was going to be doing yoga, art therapy, equine therapy. And I was like, no way. If anybody's going to something like that, it's going to be me. It's going to be me. And
Good for
so,
you.
yeah.
I
That-
I mean, there's a reason behind all those modalities and supports, but I mean, you make a good point. I have become a firm believer that the partner can go first. I mean, that we have this backwards sometimes of like we throw all this attention and
right.
support around the person who's the obvious patient or the one in need, and the ambulance comes and picks them up and drives them off and sometimes runs us over in the process. And you're
That
like,
is so true. That is
I
so
heard that
true.
analogy, and I was like, "That is," and this, I mean, Andrea, I love what you're founding, and even just the recognition on let's have a place where people can donate and support. Because I mean, I was one of those people that I was supporting his career and a stay-at-home mom, 4 small children, and then the bottom fell out. He left a 20-year vocation, became unemployed, and wasn't dealing with the boulder under the iceberg.
Mhm.
And I'm holding all this stuff, just and I didn't have resources. And I
Mhm.
started to put that stake in the ground and just be like, I determined for myself I wasn't going to live with active addiction anymore. I wasn't going to, what I was and wasn't going to do. I wanted light, I wanted fidelity, I wanted honesty. And it was such an important moment in my life, but it was costly because I didn't have what I needed and people didn't understand what was happening and what I
Mhm.
saw and they couldn't see because he had a really good, did good of the image he was portraying. And then, sometimes sadly they can start to do smear campaigns and change
Mhm.
the narrative and it goes from bad to worse and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, it can get really hard." So having a support like this alliance that can help with tangible resources is amazing.
Yeah. You know, you said that. I forgot to say our hashtags for today if people want to support digitally. So the tagline for Intimate Partner Betrayal Awareness is that we're empowering betrayed partners to change the narrative. And that came from Hamilton, where his wife discovers that he's cheated on her, and she says she's taking herself out of the narrative. And then she comes back and says, I'm putting myself back in the narrative. She wanted to tell her own story. And she says that it's in the song Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. And we know that for betrayed partners, we need to be able to tell our own story. We need to be able to say, this happened to me. It was awful. Yes, in addition to that, the ambulance came and picked him up and ran over me in the process. And what that is like, we're not, addiction is such a, and betrayal is such a self-centered act, right? It's self-centered and selfish, and sometimes in recovery we perpetuate that self-centeredness and selfishness at the expense of the betrayed partner,
Mm.
right? There are two people who are a part of this story, and there are two people who need support, and we can't help one at the expense of the other.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. So I can't say thank you enough, Gina, for just, you've been on the conversations around supporting this from the beginning. You've sent out emails to connect me with other people to help this movement go forward. I know that you're going to be on this team for a long time. And I just want to honor you too, because every betrayed partner has a choice. We can wallow, we can stay in that place of helplessness.
Mm.
And this is not to shame anybody, because when like Gina said, you need support to get up.
Yeah.
No, nobody gets up on their own. But we do have to make the choice to get up. We can get all the help in the world, but if we don't make the choice to get up every day, and you can get up every day with tears running down your face, with your heart beating out of your chest, with your body being numb, but when you keep showing up in your own life, eventually the pain is lessened, your strength grows, and you can be like Gina and I are today. Doesn't mean you'll ever go back to the same as you were, but you can be better.
Mm.
You can be better. And I think that's the story of hope that you're offering today to people, is that they can be better. And I love that. And I just want to say thank you for your commitment to healing, to serving this community, for making your mess your message, and for just being a voice for the voiceless
Mm.
in this space.
Thank you so much. It's
Yeah.
an honor and a privilege, and I am determined to make my mess my message and to keep carrying a message to others and just being a resource.
Yeah. For those of you who may have missed it, this is Gina Kay. She's with Begin Again Institute. Her information is in the chat. It's Gina, Gina dot Kaye at BAI. That's for Begin Again Institute dot care. Is that right, Gina? Did I get it
That's
right? Okay.
yeah.
So if you need help, reach out to Gina. Like I said, go to the website, ipbawareness.org, sign up for our mailing list. There's also a way to sign up if you want to support with resources, if you want to support with time. You can donate money. Every bit goes to help betrayed partners and to spread this message, to change the narrative. Hashtag change the narrative. That's what we're using for today. So thank you so much, Gina.
All right.
Um,
I'll
and
sign
I
off.
will see you next time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. So Gina left, but I will be here because I have another guest joining me very soon. Another colleague that has graciously agreed to give time, is committing to donating something to this day. And if you want to be a part of this continued conversation, we're going to be here. Thank you for being here. Those in the comments that are saying thank you, appreciate you being a part of the conversation. You can ask questions. You can comment. If there's a favorite resource that you've had, please be sure to share that because this is a day that's all about helping each other. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. No one is going to come to rescue us. The justice system is broken. A lot of the counseling space is broken. A lot of the church is broken. But in those broken spaces are people like me, people like Gina, people like those of you who are a part of this live stream who can make a difference. We don't have to wait for someone else to come and do it for us. If everybody who's on social media gave $1 today, we would have millions. So it doesn't have to be this big, huge deal. Little by little, we're going to eat this elephant one bite at a time. And if you want to be a part of that, follow us on social media, go to the website, sign up for our newsletter. The more people we can reach, the more help that's available to us. If you want to follow us on the social media platforms, we're at Intimate Partner Betrayal Awareness. We're on my coaching page today, Fully Alive Coaching. You can follow there. You can follow at Intimate Partner Betrayal on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube. We're in all the places. Like I said at the start of this call, I'm one person, but there are more of you than there are of me, and the more people who help spread this message, the more people we can reach. So even if you have never experienced intimate partner betrayal, you know someone that has. Everyone knows someone that's experienced intimate partner betrayal. So you can be a part of this movement. You can be a part of making history because I can promise you this is going to be a history making movement. And I don't say that because of me. I say that because I've seen the future and what God and people who are betrayed are going to do with this. I've watched partners do amazing things with little to no resources, and we're going to keep doing that today. So if you want to be a part of the movement, go to the website at ipbawareness.org. Follow us on the social media platforms. Sign up. Oh, I forgot to say we're on LinkedIn too. Under my page, I'll probably create a new page for that. But Andrea Rogers on LinkedIn. And I see my next guest has just come in, and I'm so excited. So I'm going to add her to the stage. Hey, Sarah Morales.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so
Yay.
much for being here.
Absolutely. Let me adjust my mic. I'm visiting my parents, so everything's like in a weird space. So,
Yeah, tell
yeah,
Donna hi.
I will. We joked around she was going to bring me in my coffee, and I'm like, the ratings would go through the roof if Donna Dixon, happened to show
That's
up.
right. That's right. Tell her to grace us with her appearance. For those who don't know, Donna is Sarah's mom, and she runs a wonderful organization called A Door of Hope. And A Door of Hope trains peer facilitators to lead groups around betrayal. Donna has put blood, sweat, and tears into building this program. I went through it. I highly recommend it to anyone who might want to work in the space of intimate partner betrayal. It is intense, but we need that intensity to make sure it's safe. And so, of course, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree,
No.
right? And so, Sarah, tell us about you. I mean, I know you, but people may not know you. So, who are you, and
Yeah.
why are you here today?
All right. Well, so my name is Sarah Morales. I am a certified relationship coach, also a few other certifications, most notably my AppStats certification. Um, I have been a professional coach since
Wait, say
2013.
who AppSats is for people who don't
Oh,
know
sorry.
that
For
language.
people, yep, for people who don't know what AppSats is, it is the Association of Partners of Sex Addicts Trauma Specialists. So we're an organization that trains mostly therapists and coaches to follow a specific model when they are working with partners of people who have problematic sexual behavior so that
Mm-hmm.
there's safety, right? I know a lot of us have experienced not safe places when we've sought help, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the main goals of AppSats is to make sure there's training so that
Mm-hmm.
there is safety. So so that's one of the ones that I kind of guess I'm most proud of. And I started my coaching career working for a certified sex addiction therapist in Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And he had me build a program for the partners of the sex addicts he was treating. And as he did so, he handed me a book about gaslighting. I had not known what that word was in 2013. It wasn't the buzzword that it is today. He had wanted my help. I was at the time married to someone who was serving time for his sexual deviant behaviors. Um, and he wanted my perspective both as a coach and as a partner on this thing that we call gaslighting. And I was like, what's
Mm-hmm.
this? Handed me the book, and I was like, oh my word, there's a word that captures what I had experienced. And I pretty much felt like that moment was the moment that was this is important. Like this topic, understanding it's important. Like it's actually really crucial. And so I've pretty much dedicated the past 12 years of my life to really zoning in and focusing in on this one topic of gaslighting. And so for me, I would say the large majority of my clients are in the betrayal trauma world. So that's why I'm here today, volunteering, some time to hang out with you and
Yay.
maybe help some people or answer some questions or something. I don't know what will happen, but I've had just being really transparent. I've had a number of times throughout the past 12 years, I'm sure you have too, Andrea,
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's hard. Especially in the coaching business, it can the fluctuation of income and clients can be it's like I just don't know if I can do this
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And every time someone would come along my path, typically a former client who
Mm-hmm.
would message me and just tell me how the work that I had done with them had helped them.
Yes.
And I've had so many people tell me that specifically learning about gaslighting was one of the pivotal points for them that really helped them get back into a place of trusting themselves. So, not
Yes.
so much about trusting the other person,
Yes.
right? That may or may not happen. But what
Yes.
also may or may not happen is rebuilding trust in ourselves because the way our
That's
trust in
right.
ourselves is damaged.
That's right.
And so, what I have found is that really, really understanding gaslighting deeply is
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that has most helped people learn how to trust themselves again. So that's kind of the lens, if you will, that I bring to the betrayal trauma world.
Yeah, which is why I am so glad that you are here. I'm so thankful for your work.
Thank you.
When I learned about gaslighting, I can tell you exactly where I was. I feel like Sophia on Golden Girls.
Okay.
Picture Sicily, 19, it was it was 2015. I was at a retreat called Women in the Battle, led
Okay.
by Sherry Keffer,
Hmm.
at New Life, and I'm gonna talk about Sherry. And she was standing up there and she was describing it first, right? This sense of
Hmm.
like, you go to this person, you name something, and they deflect it back to you and make you feel crazy for
Hmm.
bringing it up. They tell you you're making a big deal out of nothing, you're too sensitive,
Hmm.
you're always stirring up stuff. And I started bawling,
Hmm.
literally like
Hmm.
ugly crying,
Hmm.
because I was like, there's a name for this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I know that I'm not alone in that. I mean, gaslighting has become a buzzword, now,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been around, right?
Mm-hmm.
The movie Gaslight was what, 1940s?
It was 80 years old last year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not a new term, but
No.
as in all things social media, the term has been redefined, identified,
Mm-hmm.
taken out of context. And so as a gaslighting expert, tell us what gaslighting really is.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I think before I give you my definition, I'll just say I feel like when I first started this, it was me educating on what gaslighting is, and now I feel like I have to re-educate. Kind
Mm,
of like in this sports world, like I used to play volleyball and I used to coach volleyball. So if like somebody learned how to serve, but they
yeah.
learned the mechanics incorrectly, then I
Yeah.
would have to go back and like break it down. Okay, like we're gonna have to change this.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I'm doing a lot of these days. And really that's because for such a long time Gaslight the movie kind of personified, if you will, a gaslighter and the
Mhm.
gaslighting experience. And what that's done is it's really kind of like if you take a normal scale of any behavior and that a human does and think of there being a scale 1 to 10, it's really taken it and putting gaslighting right here. And I feel just a very people are very clear what that does is it early on in my career, it confused and alienated a lot of people because they're
Mm.
like, my person's not like that Charles Boyer character. Like,
Yes.
they're not a sociopath, right? They're an
Right.
addict,
Right.
kind of a thing, right? And they're doing what I think are gaslighting behaviors, but they're not like that. So does that mean I'm not being gaslit? It must
Mhm.
mean I'm not being gaslit because my person's not a sociopath or a full blown narcissist or whatever. Now I'm confused. Now I'm alienated.
Right.
So what I started to do was try to look outside of that just little kind of box, if you will.
Mhm.
And I got kind of I'm a very strong science math person, very analytical. So
Mhm.
I kind of just looked at the behavior from lots of different angles through lots of different clients. And I took out what some of the common definitions have, which will be intention of the gaslighter and the level of awareness, and just talked about what behaviors do we see that have to be present in
Mhm.
order for something to be gaslighting. And the intention of that, because some people have misunderstood what I've done and
Mhm.
they say that I like normalizing gaslighting or like lowering, like it's trauma. It always causes trauma no matter where it falls on the scale.
Mhm.
What I
Mhm.
have done, what my intention has been with this definition is to include more people so that I don't if I'm in a relationship and someone is doing gaslighting behaviors and I say they have to be a narcissist or a sociopath or whatever in order to do gaslighting, I'm actually lowering my bar.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
I was going to say it again because I
Okay.
think people need to, how sometimes you hear it, but it
Yeah.
takes a while for all the words to sink
Yeah,
in. Say it
absolutely.
again. Say it again.
Absolutely. So if I have to label my person as a full-blown narcissist or a sociopath or whatever, that's actually lowering my bar in order for me to be able to say call a behavior bad. Instead of
Mhm.
saying my person doesn't have to be a full-blown narcissist or sociopath and I can call this behavior gaslighting. I'm
Right.
actually raising my bar of what people must meet in order
Yes.
to be safe instead of
Yes.
lowering it, right?
Yes.
So I feel I'm actually helping a lot of people out with my definition. So with all that said, my definition of gaslighting, I want you to think of it as an equation that has two sides and both have to be present in order for it to be fully gaslighting. All
Okay.
right. And this is important when we start to deconstruct it a little bit because it has to do with empowerment, really.
Mhm.
But the
Mhm.
first part is about the gaslighter. So the first part of the gaslighting, and it's pretty simple. It's just a person or a group of people. There's political gaslighting, there's social gaslighting, there's religious gaslighting, there's racial gaslighting, right? Groups of people can also do it. So when one person or a group of people through covert behaviors, that's it. You just have to be doing covert behaviors. All right. So that's like lying, manipulation. Gaslighting is an umbrella term. That's where people get confused because they're like,
Mhm.
they know they're lying. Okay. But lying is part of the pattern that causes gaslighting. So just a
Mhm.
covert behavior. Okay. That's the gaslighter. On the victim side, or what we would call the gaslightee's side, sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Um, excuse me again. The rest of the definition is convinces another person that what they feel, believe, think, or perceive is inaccurate or invalid. So what I've done with that part
Sarah,
was,
if I had something to
yeah.
throw at you, I would I would throw it right now in solidarity, in
Uh-huh.
agreement. Oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
See, the two things especially that I want to key in on, especially for our betrayal trauma partners, is the feeling part, right? When a lot of definitions will talk about reality. Well, what does reality mean, right? It usually
Mm-hmm.
means we think facts,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we ignore this whole category of my feelings being invalidated or told that they're inaccurate. Right. So if
Right.
I feel unsafe in a marriage, for example, this was me. This is probably used, probably however many percentage of betrayal, high percentage. We don't have facts, we have feelings,
That's
we have
right.
our gut. And so we go to our person and we say, I feel unsafe. And they're like, well, where are your facts, basically, to prove
Prove
it's
it.
not.
They say
They
prove it.
even, a lot of people will throw out these common gaslighting phrases like you're crazy, you're overthinking, you're overreacting. It doesn't even have to be that kind of obvious, if you will. It can be
Mm-hmm.
like, well, it's just your gut. Like like I didn't do anything. And then that's where the lying comes in, the different things. So it's our feelings, right? So when somebody causes you to believe that your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, perceptions are inaccurate or invalid, right? So even if I am safe, but I feel unsafe because of something you did a long time ago, for you
Mm-hmm.
to tell me that my feelings aren't valid in this moment, that's gaslighting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gaslighting around the feelings. That's a huge one that a lot of people miss.
Yes.
So that's my definition. It's just basically cause and effect
Yeah.
is really what my definition of gaslighting is.
Wow. Wow. Dale, thanks for being here. 10 minutes. We'll take 10 minutes. I hope it's being recorded too. I'm flying this, I'm building this plane as it's flying, so I'm just on here. I hope it's being recorded too. But Sarah,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, so in my mind, I'm putting myself in the place of two people, right? You
Okay.
just validated a lot of people's experience.
Hmm.
You
Good.
validated a lot of people's experience,
Hmm.
but you probably also created some defensiveness
Absolutely.
in a lot of people too. So let's
Absolutely.
talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Let's please.
Yeah. So to the person who's feeling defensive, like, so you're saying that when my child says that I'm being too harsh with them and that, they feel unheard and I tell them it's because they're not listening, I'm gaslighting them?
Hmm. Hmm. So I'll speak to that for two things. Our feelings are always real. They're not always rooted in reality.
Hmm.
Okay.
Say it again. Say
Yeah,
it again.
yeah. Our feelings are always valid, but they're not always rooted in reality. And the best example I have for that I always tell people is I love to cook. I love to listen to music. Sometimes I'll do both at the same time. And I was cooking one day, had these exact headphones on, listening to some music, cooking, and all of a sudden I see my firstborn like standing 2 feet away from me, scared the crap out of me. I screamed, right? That feeling of being startled and afraid was valid. I was surprised, all of these types of things. The reality of that moment is I had nothing to fear from my son,
Mm-hmm.
right? We all can understand both simultaneously. Of course, that would be scary, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't expect to see somebody standing 2 feet from me, right?
Yes. Right.
And the reality is nothing to be afraid of, right?
Yes.
So where the gaslighting part comes in, and I have a whole scale where I talk about this, is there's lots of reasons why people do gaslighting behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them are defense mechanisms, or like especially to shame, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if my kid is telling me, sorry, and then I'm going to combine communication. Sometimes, like, again, it's a part of a pattern. I tell people to think about it like a grandfather clock with all the different cogs. There's always lots of things going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so if I tell my child it's not valid for them to feel the way that they're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's this whole difference between intention and impact. I might intend to communicate I'm listening, right? But for whatever reason, they might hear something else, right?
Yes.
So what we miss that ends up in the gaslighting kind of verbiage or communication style, if you will, is when we're able to hold both at the
Mm-hmm.
same time.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that the impact that you felt of this moment was this, my intention was
Mm-hmm.
this. But what we often do is go straight to intention. This is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
my addicts in recovery too, honestly. Right?
Yes.
They'll go straight to intention, and when
Yes.
they do so, they completely invalidate the other person because they're not
Yes.
speaking to impact at all. And it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense because we're wanting to like stand up for ourselves and say, but that's not what I was trying to do. So therefore, if I just tell you what I was trying to do, then you won't feel the way that you're feeling. You won't feel this negative feeling. And
Right.
we're not trying to invalidate, but we are with the way
Yes.
that we're talking.
Yes.
Right. So it's not malicious intent. Nonetheless, it causes harm in
Mm-hmm.
the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it can be anywhere from not malicious to intent to completely 100% malicious intent when somebody is doing a gaslighting behavior.
Yeah, but neither one of those changes the impact.
Correct.
I remember being
Yeah.
in I was in the pastoral care training, the CSAT training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing the trauma egg. And he was like, go through, for those who don't know what a trauma egg is, it's an
Mm-hmm.
exercise where instead of writing words, you draw pictures of things that have shaped the course of your life. And it's a really helpful therapeutic intervention to help people kind of see patterns and understand, traumas. But I was like, he was asking me something about my parents, and I was like, I don't want to put things about my parents on there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my parents cared about me, they loved me. And he said, so if I drop a hammer on your toe, does it hurt if I didn't mean to do it?
Yeah.
And I was like, touche,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Point
Mm-hmm.
taken.
Mm-hmm.
The harm is still there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, the analogy that I use to kind of help people get this is I say, imagine you're in the room with whoever your gaslighter is, right? Imagine
Mhm,
your living room. And a lot of my guys in recovery, they golf for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just
mhm,
the particular space I work, but um, and they're getting ready for a golf tournament, and they just have golf stuff everywhere: golf clubs, golf tees, golf balls. They're cleaning their shoes. It's just everywhere. It's messy. The living room's
mhm,
really messy. You walk in, they're like, oh hi, and they want to walk over and give you a hug, and they trip over their mess. They fall into you. You fall back and you break your arm.
mm.
Now, were they trying to hurt you?
No.
No. What happened is they tripped over their mess,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Nonetheless, you have a broken arm. The
Right.
impact, right? Intention versus impact. The impact of that experience is a broken arm. You're not going to be able to function fully for a while. You're
Mhm,
going to be in pain probably
mhm,
for a while,
mhm,
right? And that's pertinent because so many of us, I definitely deal. Listen, my ex was a sociopath. I don't throw that word around lightly, right? A lot of us might have that person that's on that end of the scale.
mhm,
But for those of us who aren't, the mess is what's causing the gaslighting,
mhm.
the
That's
mess of
so
their life,
important. Yeah, because
right?
what you're doing is when I was starting this awareness day, one of the things I said is partners are often their pain is minimized. People no, there is nothing people want you to get over faster than betrayal.
Absolutely.
If your child dies or your spouse dies or you end up having to have emergency surgery, like people understand the journey of grief and healing and time. But man, when you start talking about, the pain of betrayal, they're like,
Hmm.
you're still talking about that?
Right.
You're
Yeah.
still so you're normalizing something that's been minimized.
Yeah.
You're saying the mess that's there is causing the harm, whether it was intentional or not, whether you saw it or not, whether, you broke your toe or you broke your arm.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So you're giving people permission to name their pain.
And also, really, what I do, because that's actually an analogy I use in my course and my workbook. But excuse me. Um, what I also challenge people to do is to see again, because I was there, right, as a betrayal trauma survivor. I was
Mhm.
there when I made concessions for the mess,
Mhm.
right? Because I didn't know at the time. My ex was a pastor. I didn't know at the time,
Yeah.
right? Like what level he was at, right?
Yeah.
So I made all kinds of concessions and I kept putting myself in this room where the mess was not being cleaned up,
Mhm.
right? And so really what that does is my person doesn't have to fit into this box. And at the same time, I have every right. In fact, it's my sacred self responsibility to say, you need to clean up your mess.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to keep tripping.
Yes.
You don't have to be
Yes.
over here. You can just be just a person who has mess because of family of origin, because of addiction, because of all of these things. And if you don't work hard enough on cleaning up your mess every time I step into this room, I'm
Mhm.
risking breaking my arm, getting my arm broken again.
Mhm.
Right. So it's not a free pass by any stretch of the imagination. Again, in fact, we're raising our bar by giving ourselves permission to say this behavior is just as dangerous if they
Mhm.
mean to do it or if they don't.
That's right.
That's what I'm doing with this.
Yeah. Yeah, so somebody, I'm making this up. The story I'm making up right now is somebody's listening to you crying.
Mm,
Somebody's listening to you feeling heard for the
mm,
first time
yeah.
and seeing for the first time. And I'm sure you experienced that, that was me.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I was bawling
Yeah.
when Sherry was explaining gaslighting. And that's why I will tell Sherry. As a matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
when I was texting her this weekend, I told her she forever changed my life. She did.
Mm-hmm.
She was the first
Mm-hmm.
person to give me language and help me
Mm-hmm.
understand and offer that empathy and compassion that I wasn't being dramatic. And I feel
Yeah.
like you're doing that for a lot of people.
That's the hope, right? More and more.
Yeah. So what, I mean, because you are our resident gaslighting expert,
Mm-hmm.
what about that one thing? Because there are a lot of parts to your story that you could have honed in on,
Yeah.
things that had, I mean, your partner went to jail,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now you're a single mom. You guys were in ministry. Like there were so many
So
underserved
many.
parts of your story.
Mm-hmm.
What made you hone in on the gaslighting? Why did that one feel so crucial?
Because for me, there were so many points once D-Day happened. Mine was completely out of the blue. I'm one of those, the FBI showed up at my house kind of a thing. And
Mhm.
before that, hadn't even ever found porn or anything. Never found
Mhm.
anything.
Mhm.
Um, so I was playing catch up for years, right? Like what had happened. And not only had what had happened in me, but like my brain wouldn't stop trying to go back and make sense of how did this happen? Like, how did I lose myself? How did I, like, how did, right? Like, I want those, again, going back to kind of what I said at the beginning,
Mhm.
if I was ever going to be able to trust myself again, I had to figure out how it happened in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. So part of the work that I do, it's not just talking about recognizing that first part of the equation and what the gaslighter does. That's important. But the
Mhm.
second part of the equation is why, right? Like
Mhm.
if I told you you have beautiful red hair, Andrea, right? You'd be
Mhm.
like, what are you talking about, Sarah? My hair isn't red, right? Right now, right?
Right.
But what happens in gaslighting is eventually over time, through my covert behaviors, you would start to think there was something wrong with your eyes,
Mhm.
right? Like maybe I'm partially colorblind or something, or maybe everybody else in my life has been lying to me because Sarah, I trust Sarah so much, right?
Right.
So
Right.
then you're like, well, why did I ever start to believe that in the first place? Why was I not able, and not in a victim blamey way, right? Again,
Mhm.
as a person who's gone through this, I want to understand what is it about me? What are my unique vulnerabilities so that I can protect them?
Right.
Not to change me,
Mhm.
but to protect those places from people who would otherwise take advantage of them if they're not protected.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And so that part for me, I mean, it was a multi-year long journey where I was both simultaneously figuring out what had happened in my marriage, but then also saying, well, crap, culturally, I accept, right? Like if the definition is to be convinced to believe, think, feel, or perceive something that somebody else wants you to,
Yes.
I started seeing all of these areas in my life where I had done that.
Yeah.
So it's for me, the gaslighting journey, it's like level one is what happened in my intimate partnership, but then
Mhm.
level two is what has happened throughout my life. And the end result is having the purest connection with myself. Like I
Mhm.
know myself better than I ever have because of the way that I've been able to apply kind of this system, if you will, that I've come up with to
Mhm.
all of these different areas
Mhm.
and figure out where I have taken on things that were never actually my truth. I did it for a multiple of different reasons.
Right.
All by the way, I'll have you all know this. I've traced them back pretty much all to unmet needs.
Hmm. Say
So
more
it's
about that.
okay. So for example, if I'm in an intimate partnership where I'm not having um like really authentic connection and I go to them and I'm saying that I'm having a problem with the relationship or whatever, and they threaten and say, well, why don't you leave already? That's actually a reverse psychology kind of
Mhm.
type of gaslighting. Well, then why didn't
Mhm.
you leave me? I'll never be good enough for you. Well, now the little table scraps that I'm getting of connection from this person are
Mhm.
being threatened to be now taken away.
Mhm.
Right. So then now I'm like, okay, well, my need of even those table scraps makes me vulnerable to that gaslighting behavior, that threat to the attachment. That's that coercion piece, right? It's not a
Mhm.
threat to me physically, it's a threat to the attachment,
Mhm.
causes me to back down on what I want to see changed.
Yes.
Does that make
Yes.
sense? Or did I
Yes.
say that in a way that okay?
Yeah, you actually made me think. But one of my favorite quotes from Henry Cloud, and I'm gonna see if I can find it really quick because I have it saved like 10 times
Mhm,
in my
mhm.
phone. Yeah, here it is. No one can manipulate you unless you need something from them.
Yep, makes sense.
Fig- Figure out what you need, and you will discover the source of their power.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I I literally have it saved about 8 times because every time it comes across my feed, I save it in my phone as a reminder.
Yeah, and if I may I say something about manipulation versus gaslighting because a lot of
Yeah,
people don't really understand the difference.
for sure.
Okay, so when I experience manipulation, that's an experience typically where maybe I was manipulated into doing something
Mhm.
in the moment,
Mhm.
right? Maybe staying out later with a friend than I normally would have because I have to work the next day because they're like, oh, but it's my birthday.
Mhm.
Right. And I'm like, okay, like I'll go back on my boundary that I have for myself of wanting to go to sleep because I'm 50. Right.
Mhm.
Like I'm going to stay out. And then the next day I regret it. Like I'm like,
Right.
dang it, like I am dragging. It's gonna take me a week to like catch up because I'm not 20 anymore
Is
or
this a
whatever,
true
right?
story or are
No,
we typing
we're,
hypothetical?
mostly hypothetical, mostly
Okay.
hypothetical.
All right. All right.
Um, but we have an awareness
Right.
that we didn't stay in alignment with our authentic self.
Mhm.
Right? We regret. We were in our emotions were played upon and
Mhm.
caused us to do something momentarily. And then we
Mhm.
often have regret and want to do something different next time. With
Mhm.
gaslighting, what happens is you actually start to change the way that you feel or think about the situation. So then in those types of situations you don't regret. You're like, oh wow, this person was upset with me or whatever. I must have done something. They said I'm not being a good friend. They're right. Or right, what we start to change the way that we think or feel. So there's not a regret, there's an unknown abandoning of ourselves and a taking on of somebody else's definition of us, the way we should think, we should feel. In fact, I just launched a store, and my favorite t-shirt that I created, it's kind of like You know how when you look up a definition of a word and it will have the word like phonetically out, and
Mhm.
then it will have like a verb or noun or whatever. So
Mhm.
I have this t-shirt that I created. It says me, and then it has the pronunciation and it's like noun or whatever. And then I put my own definition under. I said something you don't get to define.
Wow.
Isn't that great? I mean, that's the end result of this work, right? Because
Yeah.
most of us unknowingly, because we want to belong, because we grew up in family, community, churches, all these places where there's like a low key message that if you don't believe like us, if you don't value the same things, you don't belong. And we need belonging. So
That's
what
right.
do? We make these subconscious agreements
That's
and we
right.
live our lives not even knowing that other people have defined for us what to
Yes.
think, what to feel, what to believe, what to perceive when we're looking at things. That to me is why this gaslighting piece is so crucial and why I've hung on through the ups and downs and almost like quitting 10 times, right? Is because I've literally had people, I had one client text me, no, message me on Instagram while she was in Hawaii on vacation. And she's like, Sarah, the colors are brighter. She's
Mm.
like, the food tastes better because she
Mm.
had been disconnected from her authentic self for so long. And she was finally coming back into herself.
Mhm.
Literally, colors were brighter and food tastes more real because of the way she was coming back into herself. So to me, that's when you say, why did I choose to focus on this? That's why. Because I've experienced it firsthand, the difference between me living a life where other people got to define me and me living a life where I define me and nobody else gets
Yeah.
to do that for me. It's
Yeah.
it's completely different. It's completely different.
Yeah. Excuse me while I go cry.
I love you.
Oh my God. You really, oh my gosh. Like you are hitting something deep inside of me
Mm,
because one of the things that woke me up to the danger I was in
mhm,
was one of my very dear friends, and I wish she was on here today because I'd shout out her name.
mhm,
But she said to me, you are so different when you're around your husband. And I was
mm,
like, what do you mean? And she said, when you're not around him, you are confident, you are
mhm,
outspoken,
mhm,
you are relaxed, you are smart. She's like, you just have this like really courageous persona.
mhm.
Right. And she said, but when you're with him, you're small, you kind of defer,
Yeah.
she was basically telling me that I shrink myself, which I did.
Mhm,
And her saying that to me in such a direct way, because I'm a direct person, please don't beat
mhm.
around the bush with me.
Me too.
Right? Her saying that, that's why I love you. That's
Mhm.
why I'm always liking your posts and high fiving because we
Mhm.
speak the same language,
We
right?
do. Yeah.
Um, but her saying that to me was like the permission I needed to name what I was already feeling.
Yeah.
That somewhere along the way, and I said this, like I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize myself.
Absolutely.
I didn't know who I was. So that piece that you're naming about I'm making agreements, it's shifting even the way I think.
Mhm,
This person is changing my brain
mhm.
as I know it and therefore changing my reality. And that's why I'm talking about intimate partner betrayal as relational abuse because it is
Yeah.
abusive to alter someone's reality like that. I really do want to go in the corner and cry. And that's 11 years into my recovery. So I know somebody else is listening to this
Mm,
with that same emotion.
mhm. Yeah. It hit something really deep. Mhm.
I'm so glad you didn't give up. I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
that I know you're a person who, when you put your mind to something and you decide you're going to do it, you're going to do it with 110%. Like,
Mhm.
no half ass, no
No,
it's
ma'am.
like, no.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and so you have put blood, sweat, and tears while going through your own stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Is
Yeah.
your
Sometimes I go ahead.
is your ex partner still in jail?
No, but I have no contact with him. I have no idea. I know he's somewhere in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's all I know. I haven't had contact in, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
7 or 8 years.
Mm.
Just not a good human being.
Right.
that
Right. I
that's
understand.
putting it kindly too.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand, there is no jail for people who don't break the law,
hmm
but who break hearts, who break realities, who break people,
Yeah.
which should be against the law,
Yeah.
right? But it's not.
Yeah.
And when you have children with someone, you don't ever fully get away from them.
I mean, there have been lots of things that have been difficult because my ex was incarcerated and all of the crazy things that he has done. Um, that's the one thing that I'm grateful for. That
Mhm.
that I haven't had to. I did have children with him too.
Mhm.
And we
Mhm.
have none of us have had to I haven't had to experience that. I got to have a clear break
Mhm.
because of the legal stuff. I got to have sole custody.
Yeah.
All that, it's hard. I help a lot of people navigate. You don't always get to gray rock your gaslighter when you're co-parenting or parallel
Yeah.
parenting or whatever you want to call it. You don't
Yeah.
always get to just ignore that. You know what I mean? Like, you got to figure out, like, how do I communicate with this person, keep myself safe, not get, hooked in again by their gaslighting, because they're not going to try to stop.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. So yeah, that's a hard part of it,
Yeah,
for
then the
sure.
hardest part is having to send your children
Yes.
with them.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And just speaking to that point, one of the things I have shared with a lot of my parents who have to, my clients who are parents and have to send their kids to their gaslighter, is the best thing you can do to, like, gaslight proof your child basically is teach them. And I've seen this with you, so good on you with
Mhm.
your kids, is
Mhm.
teach them how to know themselves and love themselves.
Mhm.
You don't have to teach them to, recognize all of the tactics and
That's
all.
right.
It's helpful, right? Especially for
Yes.
us. But that's really, if you want to prep somebody, right? Just focus on letting them have their opinion. That's why when we go back to that conversation you brought up about the kids saying what they said, that's
Yeah.
why it's so crucial for us to teach them. They get to feel what they want to feel. And it might not
Yes.
always be what's happening, but you still get
Yes.
to feel that way, right? Like, it's just such an important part. But there are things that we can do to help minimize the trauma that they might potentially experience
Mhm.
going to a gaslighting partner or parent.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a couple of things. One,
Great.
how do people get in touch with you? Because I know there are going to be people who are like, "Oh, I need to hear more. I need to know more." How
Yeah.
how do people get in touch with you?
Okay. Great. Yeah, you can just find me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, all as Sarah Morales Coaching.
Okay.
So that's pretty easy. That's my website too, is
Mhm.
sarahmoralescoaching.com. That's
Mhm.
Sarah with an H, Morales, like it pretty much sounds, because there's so many Moraleses in this country.
Right.
Um, and it's just coaching on the end. Um, we
Sarah
do,
Morales, tell me, I'm putting it in the
yes.
comments.
Oh, okay. Sarah with an H, Morales, Morales,
Uh-huh.
coaching.com is my website. And there's like a
Okay.
contact me page on there.
Okay.
That's also take off the com, and it's my
Uh-huh.
handle for all my social media.
Uh-huh. Yep.
hmm
And you are donating something to the cause
I am.
today.
I have it right here so I can show people.
This is breaking news, guys. You're
It's
you're
breaking news.
you're
Y'all are
getting
the
breaking
first to
news
see
here.
this.
Yes.
like outside of one conference that I've attended where I put this up.
Yes.
So I have turned my course into a 16 lesson workbook. I'm so proud of this, y'all. It's beautiful. It's got the worksheets. It's got all the different things. It's 260 pages.
Wow.
Of teaching people how to recognize the patterns that are in gaslighting, those two parts of the equation.
Yeah.
Is really what this workbook is about.
Uh-huh.
It should go live this week on my website.
Okay.
There will be a link for it. I do also, because people learn differently.
Mhm.
Some people can't read a book. I know when I was in trauma, I couldn't read a book. So it's available in video format, MP3 format, and as a workbook. So
Yes.
however you learn best, it's available. And I would love to say, if I may, can I say one more thing? And I actually want to give you credit, because you're one of the voices that was in my head.
Yeah.
I actually have a training. It's a self-paced training for coaches and clinicians who want to be equipped to take their own clients through my stuff.
Mhm.
Because gaslighting always involves trauma, right? As we said before, my heart's desire is that everybody that goes through this has some sort of helping professional guiding them. You can do it on your own, but you're going to get so much better results if you have a wellness professional guiding you.
Yeah.
So if you want to be trained on because I remember you saying, Sarah, can you teach us
Yes.
how to do what you do?
Yes.
And then my response to you for years was like, no, I just want to work with my clients.
Yes.
No, I just want to work with my clients.
Yes.
And finally it took hold, but you were probably one of the first to say that to me.
Aww.
Sarah, can you teach us how to do this?
Aww.
So now I put it into video format, trying to equip wellness professionals to be able to guide people through the workbook on their own.
Yeah.
So.
Y'all don't know, Sarah's being really modest, but I'm a hype her up because that's what I like to do.
Aww.
I have chills right now because I believe it wholeheartedly. This lady is such a badass. Like in every aspect of the word. When I say she loves people fiercely, from the very first moment I met you, before I even knew, and I could tell you where we were at the CSASI conference here in Houston.
Okay.
You had a table. I didn't even know you were connected with Donna yet. But so genuine, so committed. And you know how people say you don't look like what you've been through? You not only do you not look like what you've been through, but you don't act like it either. Sarah, you are one of the most loving, giving, smart, intelligent, kind. I could keep going.
Thank you, friend.
But I have the utmost respect for you. I'm so grateful that we get to do this work together. I hope you don't give up. If you feel like you want to give up, call me and I'll talk you out of it.
Okay.
I'm going to talk you out of it because we need you. People need you. That partner who said the colors are brighter, that one person, you don't know how many people they're going to touch, and you're changing the world for people. I want that workbook. So you guys, Sarah is donating a signed copy.
I am.
You will be one of the first to have this, a signed copy of the workbook. If you donate, subscribe, go to the webpage. I put it in the comments, ipbawareness.org. Go sign up, subscribe to the newsletter, donate $4, $8, $12, $1. We're going to be raffling off these prizes. And so this is hot off the press. I want it because I want to go through it with my children. I want them to understand what this looks like. My children are going to be so smart. They might have a hard time finding a partner, but that's okay.
That's okay.
They're
That
go-
is okay.
they're going to be so much more equipped and inept at identifying abuse than I was.
Yeah.
And
And they're
that's what
going to
I want.
navigate, yeah, they're going to navigate through life differently because when you know yourself and you
Mhm.
trust yourself,
Mhm.
you just you feel different walking around just doing everyday stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, how many times because of the gaslighting did we struggle just making normal decisions,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Like, what type of bread should I buy today
Yeah.
for the PB&J sandwiches?
Yeah.
Because we've lost that connection, right? So it's like not only that, right? Like not only do we protect ourselves from future abusive relationships,
Yes.
but again, it just changes the way career decisions, friendship decisions, like all of these things feel differently when you're walking around trusting yourself.
Yes. I So first of all, we are like instruments and most people don't get this. Your body is like an instrument. And if you have ever played a musical instrument or heard an instrument that's played out of key, it creates dissonance, right? It doesn't sound good. You
No.
want to cover your ears. If you used to watch American Idol and the people they would have come and sing on there, it's like, oh
Mhm,
my gosh, cover your ears.
mhm,
Most of us have that feeling of dissonance in our bodies, but because we live in a society that gaslights us,
mhm. Exactly.
we live in a society that gaslights us.
Mhm,
It's like fish in water, right? We're not even aware that it's happening all of the
nope.
time. And so once you learn to tune in to what it sounds like when you're in alignment,
Mhm,
how your body hums when the right notes
mhm.
are being hit, right? There's a resonance instead of a
Just
dissonance.
I love that.
There's a resonance, and most people have been in dissonance for so long they don't know what the resonance sounds like.
Agreed.
So what you're doing with your work and your workbook is helping people to get back to that place of resonance.
Absolutely. Yep. 100%.
Yeah, love it.
Yep.
So you're donating the workbook. We got your website, sarahmoralescoaching.com. Is there anything else you want us to know or remember or put out there for people?
I think the only thing I would love for people to know is about the free webinar that I have that's on my website.
Hmm.
It's called Deconstruct. Everything's deconstructing gaslighting because that's my registered trademark.
Yeah.
So it's called Deconstructing Gaslighting Conversations.
Mm.
So I made that free. I used to charge for it, and I made it free because I felt it was so important.
Hmm.
And it's about a 30-minute webinar that basically teaches people how to have conversations with their gaslighter, because again, you don't always get to gray rock and you don't always get to see your gaslighter heal, right? Like
Hmm.
for those people, whether it's a parent, intimate partner, boss, if you want to learn like a format
Hmm.
to stay connected to yourself, stay safe, and yet interact with somebody who's going to be doing gaslighting behaviors, that's what that webinar was created for. So I just want to let people know about that because it's free. It's a free
Okay.
resource.
Yeah. Awesome. Is the shirt on your website?
There's my store. Yes, it's called Sassy Sarah's Merch. Uh,
I told
yep.
y'all she was a badass. She's being real calm and subdued
Yeah,
today,
yeah,
but she
yeah.
is
So
sassy.
I can show y'all. This is my other favorite. This came from a quote from another group I visited, where a woman said, "Let's see if we can see it. Is it backwards?"
No. Well,
Okay,
I can't see because where
okay.
you are is
It
kind of small.
it
I love
says,
it.
"I'm learning how to stand up on the inside." That's what she said. And then it's like a little superhero thing. But
Yeah.
then in the middle, kind of like where the Superman logo would be, is my logo. So there's lots of fun merch. There's stickers.
And may I point out that her text is orange and the colors for intimate partner betrayal awareness. That's why I have on
Ah,
orange are orange, blue, and yellow
boom.
because
There you go.
yeah, because of embers It's from the fire, right? And I always say, you've never seen me and Wonder Woman in the same room. Ask yourself why.
I love it. Uh-huh.
So I love a girl with a cape.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right. Have you seen those things where they do the bathroom symbol? And have you seen it where it's like it was never
A
a
dress.
dress,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
yes, of course you did. Of course you did.
Hey, Sarah,
Yeah.
somebody in the comments said something very important that I want you to
Yeah.
address. The church says pray it away and
Yeah.
keep your feelings packed away. Talk about that spiritual gaslighting.
Yeah. So I want to be very careful here because faith is really important to a lot of people. Large majority of people, in fact, right? And I think part of that is we don't say I believe in Christianity or I believe in Hinduism or I believe in right? We say I am a Christian, I
Mm-hmm.
am Muslim, I am Hindu or whatever is our religious belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes part of our identity, right? So I just want to first say when I talk about religious gaslighting, I'm talking about the systems.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to disrespect a faith
Mm-hmm.
belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at the systems, I think that's a good way for people to be able to kind of create some separation so they don't feel like they're having to attack their faith.
That's right.
We question what in this system is gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when we talk about the system being the church, some of the church systems absolutely say messages. It drives me bananas when people will say, I'm having a lot of problems with anger, so I'm going to ask God to take it away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. Or sadness or whatever. Right. Like I'm going to put it all on my higher power. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if the addict is using this or the gaslighter is using this, like I'm praying every day to ask God to take away this temptation from me or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It sounds good. Right. So, but it's not because I'm not taking responsibility for my part.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say to pray it away, I'm making up, if this person's watching, they're probably a partner. So I'm making up that it's probably the pain, or on the extreme side, extreme bad side, it would be things like pray it away that you don't want to have sex with your partner as much as they want it or whatever. It's your duty as a wife, or like that
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
BS.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like just pray away the negative feelings. And
Right.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna make up the story I'm making up is we're keeping our negative feelings packed away.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because it's the victory stories that are highlighted. They don't bring
That's
somebody
right.
on the stage when they're in the middle of feeling like crap
That's
and
right.
everybody applauds the person that's in the middle of grieving and can't get up out of bed. They
Yes.
bring them up when they're on the other side of that.
That's right.
Right. They bring them up on the other because we want the victory story.
Yes.
The victory story, right?
Yes.
That's the testimonial. The testimonial isn't in the typically. I'm not gonna right, but so again, what this is doing is it's invalidating. Why it's gaslighting is because it's invalidating our very real experience. One of my closest friends and really great therapists talks about you're a normal girl responding in normal ways to a painful, traumatic, whatever situation. It would actually be unnatural
Mm-hmm.
to bypass those feelings and not feel the grief, not feel
Mm-hmm.
the fear, not feel the rage. All of those things are natural responses. And we're kind of being told to pray those away.
Mm-hmm.
And then if really they're not going to just get prayed away. So then what do
Mm-hmm.
we do? Well, we're going to have to shove them because we got
Mm-hmm.
to get to that victory part.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get to that part where I've conquered those feelings
That's right.
or whatever, right? Like I have
That's
no
right.
problem getting out of bed now. Look at
Yeah.
me. I'm great. I'm all put together. My makeup's whatever, right? Joke around. We're both in Texas, right? Like we can pretend like we're in Dallas and how high our hair is because the higher our hair, the closer to God.
Right.
I'm calling out Dallas right now. I don't like Dallas a whole lot, but
Sorry, Dallas.
I know you feel me over in Houston.
Yes, I do.
Houston's a
I'm
cool
like,
place to
that's why
live,
I'm
too.
saying sorry, Dallas. It's not personal.
Sorry, it's not personal. But I think that's what that person is talking about from their statement, right? But that's why it's gaslighting because we're being told right? We're not being told to honor those and pay attention to them because
Mhm.
they're important information. Those feelings, we're
Mhm.
being told to pray them away and or shove them so that we can present in a certain way.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Wow. I think we could that's why you guys need to go to her website, sarahmorales.com. Seriously, because I mean, like I say, you're touching things in me
Mm,
that I already know, but just the way that you're naming things is
mm.
really resonate. I'm experiencing resonance
Oh, good.
in this
I love that.
space. And so I just want to say thank you for being a part of this live stream.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you for being here today. My stomach is telling me I need to take a break, but I'm
Okay.
coming back. I'm coming back, guys. I
All
already
right.
have a guest lined up. I'm Central Time. So at 1 o'clock Central Time, we'll be back. We're going to keep going throughout the day because hey, this is our first ever Intimate Partner Betrayal Awareness Day. It's a big deal. And so we're just going to keep the conversation going. Whether we have one person or 1,000 people, the message needs to be out there. So thank you, Sarah,
Thank you for
so
having me.
much for your wisdom, for your grace. Really, the
Mm,
way you answered that question again, guys, I told you she's amazing. It's just a reflection of your character, right?
thank you.
And so thank you
Appreciate
for your integrity in all
Thank you.
things.
I appreciate that.
And thanks for letting me know you and
Right
call
back
you
at
my
you.
friend.
Right back at you. Right back
Yeah.
at you. I hope you have a wonderful day with your guests and all your listeners too.
Thank
Hope you
you
have a
so
wonderful day.
much. Tell Mama Donna I said hi.
I will.
And we'll see you later. Okay.
Okay.
All
Bye
right.
for now.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. This is gonna get better. When I tell you there's so much more to come, I got a letter. I'm just gonna read you guys really quick what I got at 5:30 this morning from one of my dear friends who happens to be a man. And it just says, this is the title. It says, "To my sweet sister in Christ, on this special day of remembrance. Andrea, I wanted to take a moment and recognize you today. I'm not going to cry. Why are you crying? I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I already cried. My heart is heavy as I think about your story. I want to also take a moment on this special day and thank you for your courage to fight for others, to give others what you so deeply deserved, what you still deserve, a heartfelt apology." I'm going to pause there. I'm going to read the rest later. He wrote a letter, not just to me, and he gave me permission to share it with all partners who've never gotten the apology that they deserve. So it's an apology letter from a man who was a betrayer, who has done his work, who is one of my favorite people on this planet, and a part of the reason that I am still healing today. So, if you want to hear more, if you want to hear the letter, you got to come back. I'll be back on at 1. I'll be here at 2. I'll be here at 3. I might take another break at 4. And then tonight, I am with Dr. Kathy Nickerson. If you don't know her, she wrote a book. She's a psychologist. She does affair recovery. She has a great social media following. And I am going to be joining her support group tonight. So if you want to be a part of that, it is totally free. You can sign up at it's the Dr. Kathy Nickerson, Nickerson, Dr. Kathy Nickerson. You can sign up and be a part of her group tonight, drkathynickerson.com. You can get the link. I'll be live with her from 7 to 8:30 tonight. So Thank you so much for those who've been here, who've commented, who've walked this journey with me. I see some of my family in here, my sister cousin Rita, my real sister Demetria is in here. I cannot be here today without the support of people who love me. I'm going to be sharing more of my story, but you don't want to miss it. So come back. We're going to be live again. I'm going to stream to all the socials. Go follow us at Intimate Partner Betrayal on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, on LinkedIn. I'm Andrea Rogers. That's Rogers with no G, no D. You can see it in there. And yeah, help me spread the message. Let people know. Go to the website, ipbawareness.org, and sign up for the newsletter. Donate. I'm gonna, on this break, try to figure out the donation link and get that set up. But yeah, $1, $4, $8. Help us. Every little bit counts. From my heart to yours. Peace. I'll be back. Thanks for being here.